Welcome to episode 060 of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's November 11th, 2024. A milestone episode for you all today. Our 60th, which I'm really proud of, making it to 60. I feel like 100's going to be here before I know it, and then I don't know what happens at 100, but I'm just really looking forward to 100. So I am on my own today. I invited Ravenheart to be here, but he did not appear, so he's not here today. I hope we have a Seraphim update or some information from him soon, but none of that today. So it's going to be a pretty normal episode. First, I want to jump into some purchases that have shown up this last week. You know, I thought October was a rough month in terms of purchases and things, pre-orders coming through. November is just as bad, maybe even worse. Because yes, I had 3 games hit my wallet last week, and it's tough right now. I'm spending way too much money. But I want to talk about 3 of them that I have here with me. One in particular, I have the Atari 50th, the Anniversary Celebration Expanded Edition, and I have the Steelbook version of this, which was only available on Switch, which is kind of annoying. Would have liked it on PS5 too. So this is an expanded version of the Atari 50th collection that came out, I want to say 1 or 2 years ago. So this is actually more like the 52nd anniversary. But it has an additional 30 some odd games, and some of them are unreleased prototypes. Some of them are like games that had been thought lost to time. They added games from the Atari Arcade, the Atari 800, the Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, Jaguar, and Lynx. There's also new games, not new, but games that aren't really traditionally thought of as being Atari games, from Intellivision and Stern Electronics. The coolest thing about the Steelbook edition, aside from that it comes in a nice Steelbook, I want to clarify that this does not have the regular game case. This just comes in a sleeve with a Steelbook that's in the Switch style, or Switch size style. So if you want a standard game case and cover, you would need to make a separate purchase for that. I'm okay with just having this one. But it comes with a couple really neat things. A collector's O-ring. I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what an O-ring is? I should probably Google that. The expanded edition Steelbook, of course. This one's really cool. An Al Alcorn business card replica. So it comes with a replica Atari business card from employee number 3 at Atari, Al Alcorn, who was the creator of Pong, among many other games. It comes with a few retro Atari art cards and miniature Atari arcade marquee signs. So it's a pretty hefty little package hidden inside the Steelbook. I have not opened it yet. I don't know that I will. I feel like I'd probably rather grab the PS5 version to play, so I can play all the games in 4K on my big TV. It's the Atari 50th Anniversary Celebration Expanded Edition Steelbook Collection. Okay, next up, this one has another little bit of a story. We have Mario and Luigi Brothership. So at 4 or 5 years since the last Mario and Luigi RPG game, the series is back, and Nintendo was coy about who was developing this, because in 2019 or 2020, the long-term developer Alpha Dream went bankrupt. And so when Nintendo announced this game earlier this year, people were wondering who's developing it, and we finally have our answer now that the game is out. The game is developed by Acquire, who is known for partnering with a lot of third-party companies, or partnering with other companies as a third-party developer for them, an external development team. They worked on a lot of stuff with Square Enix, and now they're working on some stuff with Nintendo. And what's interesting about the credits, too, is a lot of the lead roles are filled with people who've once worked at Alpha Dream. So acquired them, I guess, after Alpha Dream went bankrupt, and had sort of reassembled a decent sized team for the Mario and Luigi series. So it's pretty cool that these expert developers in that series get to continue working on the series. I'm sure that's great for them, great for Nintendo, great for Acquire. So win-win-win all around, and gamers who love this series get to experience a brand new game in the series. Okay, last game I have. This game was like on sale. It came out a couple months ago, and it was like, I want to say like $19 or something, so I couldn't help but pick it up. I've heard good things about this kind of slice of life, magic-y visual novel called Tales from Toyo Toki, Arrival of the Witch. It's got kind of a cute art style. It looks to be about like a group of like childhood friends. I don't know, the protagonists look like they're like, I don't know, between 11 to 14 years old. So yeah, it just looks like a fun story to play through when I'm looking forward to do some reading. And that's Tales from Toyo Toki. Haven't played any of those three. I've still been busy with Dragon Age and Zenless Zone Zero. Don't have a whole... Well, no, I actually do have a few things to say. I guess with Dragon Age, I'm really coming into the combat, getting more comfortable with it. I'm still really taking my time. I just finally, at the 30-hour mark, recruited the last companion character for the journey. And that's because anytime like a side quest or something opens up, I beeline and go do that. The side quests in this game are often tied to specific characters that you can bring along in your party. Like certain areas are more like where that character is from, maybe, so you can bring them along and get more contextual conversation elements around them. And there's also individual character stories as well that tie into their background, their motivations, and what they're trying to accomplish in the world of Thedos. So it's been fun to journey along with them and experience what's going on in their stories. With Zenless Zone Zero, they had their first content update that I have been a part of since I started playing the game out. As with all of MiHoYo's games, every 6 weeks they get a big patch, adds new characters, new content, new areas to explore, new environments to see, and this one's no exception. This one happened to have a new character who I decided I was going to kind of chase after. Again, I didn't have to spend any money because I'm a new player. The game is really generous early on with giving you the free currency that helps you pull characters. So I was able to get this new character, and it has made a huge difference in my ability to destroy combat situations. And so this character is Tsukihiro Yanagi. I'm just going to call her Yanagi. She is a rather bodacious individual. Her attribute is electricity, or I don't think they call it electricity, I think they call it shock. Specialty is anomaly, which pairs well with some of the other characters that I've gotten for free so far. Anyways, I've been able to put together a good team. Combat with this character, Yanagi, is very satisfying and frantic. It's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the game even more with this new character. So yeah, it's been a good time with ZZZ as well. I have also been playing Trading Card Game Pocket, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. And they had a new event start this last week in the game where you battle against this Lapras event deck, I guess you could say. And thankfully it's a PvE event, not PvP. I don't really have a huge interest in getting real sweaty and playing against other real humans. I hear it's just a mess. Like most games are conceded upon by 2 or 3 turns in just because of how quickly the tides turn in that game, and how quickly once someone gets momentum, gets a lucky pull, a lucky draw, they play Misty and get a bunch of Misty, the trainer card, lets you flip coins until you land tails. And for every coin you flip heads, you get to attach 1 water energy to your Pokemon. So it's a really popular deck right now. People play Misty, and on turn 1, if they play Misty and get 3 or 4 heads real quick, they can have their main Pokemon ready to just unload massive damage on turn 1, and the second player doesn't even have a chance to react. So with the PvE deck, the AI is, decently smart, I would say, at least for the battles on the highest difficulty. And the reason you actually want to participate in these battles is that if you win, you're likely to get a promo pack So yes, of course, there's promo cards even in the virtual trading card game as well. And these promo packs, they contain one of 5 different promos. And there's the special Lapras EX, there's a Clefairy, there's a Pikachu, there's a Mankey, and there's a Butterfree as well. And so I have been trying to get at least 2 of each of these cards, and I must have got almost a dozen of all the other cards before I got my first Lapras EX promo. And then I wanted to get one more just to make sure if I ever wanted to make a deck with Lapras EX, I can put the 2 full Pokemon, because you can only put 2 of each card into a single deck. So I wanted to be fully prepared to rock and roll with that Lapras when I do. Actually, I did make a deck around it later, so I'm ready to take on any fire type events and other events where it's helpful to have a water deck. So that's TCG Pocket. Been enjoying those AI battles. It kind of reminds me of playing the trading card game RPG that was on Nintendo Game Boy Color. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of do these card battles again. It's really reminding me of how much I miss playing the trading card game. Like, it's a really expensive hobby to play competitively, but it's been a lot of fun to experience these kind of micro version bite-sized battles through the trading card game app. So really cool. Been enjoying it. All right, let's jump into the news with our first story. Yet another year has nearly come and gone, and Nintendo still has not unveiled its Nintendo Switch Successor console. People have been anticipating the release of the console for the last 2 years. If you had asked me in 2021 if we would be waiting until 2025 for this thing, I would have said no way. I, like many people, thought the Nintendo Switch Successor console was going to be releasing in 2023. And then we thought, okay, well, not happening this year. It must be 2024, right? Nope, not happening this year. So now we're all like, okay, it's 2025. Nintendo has at least said that much. So we do know that it is coming next year. The Switch itself is practically ancient technology at this point. And by the time the Switch 2 comes out, the internal specs of that console are likely to be somewhat outdated by the time it actually launches. Even if it is a significant jump over the original Switch, it's going to be like 3-year-old technology because Nintendo has to finalize the components and things long before manufacturing begins. And since they've seemingly delayed and pushed back the release of this thing, whatever the internal specs are likely from 2021, 2022. So it's kind of a bummer that, we're going to get something that's maybe already, a year or 2 old from where it should be. Now, this goes for every consumer electronic. That's always a little bit older tech than what's actually available on the market for use in manufacturing by the time something launches. But this is just going to be pushing it back forward. That being said, I'm sure it's still going to be impressive. It's going to be a massive leap over the original Switch. So we probably will just be, excited to see this shiny new thing finally. So it's likely that they're going to rely on some kind of new gimmick to really push the console into wow territory. Recent rumors have suggested that the console may be able to cast its screen or other additional visual information to your TV while you're playing it in handheld style, giving it almost like a Nintendo DS or Wii U like functionality where you can kind of have a dual screen kind of setup going on. That I think would be pretty neat and seems something possibly simple enough for Nintendo to do while also maintaining the Switch style, lifestyle of the console the way it's used. But that's just a rumor. On November 5th, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa confirmed some important details about the Switch Successor at the company's corporate management policy briefing. First, Furukawa confirmed that Nintendo Switch Successor will be compatible with Nintendo Switch software, meaning that the upcoming console will be backwards compatible. All the games that you already own physically, digitally, you'll be able to play on the new console. Now, we don't know if these games are going to be run in sort of like a Nintendo Switch container, or if they'll be able to take advantage of the upgraded hardwares so that maybe the consoles will run at a higher frames per second and things like that, and other benefits like loading and whatnot. So hopefully that's the case, but leave it to Nintendo that up. So while backwards compatibility maybe seemed obvious to most, it's still good to have verbal confirmation from the company itself. It also tells us something even more important. In order for Switch games to be compatible with the Switch Successor, there would likely need to be some level of similarity with the design and function of the new console to the old console. We can likely expect controllers that detach off of the sides, a console allowing you to play the console with motion controls, and a tabletop kickstand, so you can use the console more comfortably wherever you might be. The second announcement was that the Nintendo Switch Online service would be available on the successor to the Nintendo Switch console. While this is welcome news that Nintendo won't be yet again rebooting its account system for a new console, it also tells us that the successor to the Nintendo Switch will probably be named the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever fill in the blank they decide on. Nintendo Switch Swatch, I don't know, whatever they want to call it. Otherwise, why would they keep the Nintendo Switch Online branding? If it was going to have a different name, they would have likely rebranded the account system to something else instead of, being something more like neutral, just like Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Online account, or I don't know, something like that, where like it could apply to any console. Now, I do wonder, by like really retaining this Switch branding, if they do have the new console named Nintendo Switch 2, like, are they really kind of pigeoning themselves into like needing to keep up this Switch style console period forever? I mean, it does make the most sense, I think, from like a tactical standpoint. Like, they found something that really resonates with people, this kind of handheld lifestyle. We even have a lot of handheld PCs now, like the Steam Deck and other devices like that. Nintendo clearly started something, kicked off a new gaming revolution effectively, as they often do. This is likely the last piece of Nintendo Switch Successor news we get this year. With the busy holiday shopping season nearly here, announcing the successor at this point would only hinder any potential console sales that they are hoping to eke out this year, as the Nintendo Switch is just a couple million consoles away from reaching 150 million consoles sold, which is just an absolute crazy number. That's like PlayStation 2 territory right there. Okay, this past week, SEGA made an unceremonious announcement through an FAQ article published on their support website. SEGA will be delisting its Sega Genesis Classics game collection from console and PC digital storefronts on December 6th. It's just a month away from now, less than a month. More than 50 classic Sega Genesis titles are available in this collection, including titles from series like Streets of Rage, Phantasy Star, Wonder Boy, ToeJam and Earl, Golden Axe, Sonic the Hedgehog, and so much more. The good news is that these games were produced physically for the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. The bad news is whatever physical copies are out there are all the physical copies that will ever be. With the digital delisting, SEGA will also no longer be producing physical stock of these games as well, and most retailers have long sold out of their stock of this game collection. So after that, it's just the second-hand market if you're looking to play these titles on your console of choice. Expect prices to go up on physical copies too as time goes on. Now, if you purchase this title digitally before the December 6th deadline, you will still have access to the title digitally as well, but new prospective buyers will just no longer have the option to starting on December 6th. Again, this is just another in a long string of reasons why you should buy physically, because if something ever happens to your account, PlayStation or Xbox decides, hey, we're starting our accounts over, your purchases will no longer carry over or whatever, they'll only be for the old console, not the new console. You're going to wish you still had that physical copy. And, it's yours forever. You're not just buying a license. I do wonder, why is Sega delisting this title, though? Like, what would their reasoning be? Either they have a new collection that they're trying to promote, or maybe there's going to be a new service, something like Nintendo Switch Online, where they distribute, like, classic games. It could also be that maybe some of these games, the rights are tied up with different individuals and they're not wholly owned by Sega. If that's the case, I could see that they just sign kind of a blanket like, all right, everyone, we're going to agree to this date, and then after that, the games will no longer be available for sale. I do know that they did specifically talk about Nintendo Switch Online in their announcement because there is a Sega Genesis Classic Games app available as part of that service, and they did say that particular application will be unaffected by the delisting, and those games will remain available on that platform for the foreseeable future, possibly in perpetuity, depending on whatever agreement they signed with Nintendo. So yeah, folks, just buy physical games. Enough said. Okay, while it's not rare to see Nintendo threaten individuals and groups who distribute pirated games and emulators, it is rare to see Nintendo target pirates individually, just someone who happened to download a game and play it illegally. It's like, someone who downloaded, a music track online or something. Typically you don't see, the major corporations go after an individual. They usually go after the people who are doing the distribution themselves. But in the case of Jesse Keegan, aka Every Game Guru, Nintendo would contact various streaming platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, Kick, and others, and have them take down his streams, archive videos, and accounts. In these streams, Every Game Guru would be playing games far ahead of their launch, using pirated copies that had leaked online. If he wasn't playing games early, he probably never would have even been on Nintendo's radar. But it wasn't just that. On his streams, Every Game Guru would promote piracy to his audience and would share details on how others could become pirates themselves. Nintendo's ninjas had been keeping tabs on Every Game Guru for more than a year, before Every Game Guru decided to reach out and taunt Nintendo via email on October 24th after one of his accounts was taken down. He said, "I have 1,000 burner channels. We can do this all day." This appears to be the straw that broke the proverbial Donkey Kong's back. Nintendo had had enough. On November 6th, Nintendo filed a lawsuit against Every Game Guru in the U.S. District Court of Colorado. In the filing, Nintendo alleges the following. On at least 50 occasions in the last 2 years, defendant has streamed gameplay footage of pirated copies of at least 10 different Nintendo games without authorization, all before those titles were released to the public. All of these streams were unauthorized and all compromise Nintendo's legitimate pre-release marketing. They also promote and encourage downloading of pirated copies of unpublished games. Defendant streams often consist merely of him playing Nintendo's leaked games without commentary for extended periods of time. Nintendo is seeking $150,000 per infringement, and at over 50 infringements, Nintendo is hoping to recover several $1 million from Every Game Guru. Now, I'd be shocked if this guy has more than $20,000 in net worth, and if Nintendo successfully convinces a judge to award more than a single infringement worth of penalties on this guy. But otherwise, Jesse is going to spend the rest of his life being an indentured servant to Nintendo, having 30% of his wages garnished. He will never pay back $7+ million. Most people don't even earn that much in a lifetime. And one of Nintendo's examples, they also cited that he was playing pre-release games pirated on platforms to as little as one viewer while he was streaming. So I don't know, I have a hard time seeing a judge take this so seriously to award millions of dollars in damages to Nintendo. But after provoking Nintendo repeatedly, this guy is kinda, I don't know, he basically poked the bear and kept poking the bear. Nintendo said that he would email them multiple times. So like I said, they had enough. And they said, "All right, dude, you want to play this game? Let's go play. Let's make this real." And they made it real. So after provoking them repeatedly, Nintendo is unlikely to offer any kind of deal to Every Game Guru. But if they do, I suggest he take it.
End transmission.